Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I am your host, Ron Dichter. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being part of this community of ours. Today, I want to talk a little bit about you and your brand and your image, and really, controlling that narrative. I often tell young entrepreneurs, when I have a chance to speak to them about integrity and ethics, and I talk to them about how, decisions you make today will in fact impact you. Maybe not today, maybe not a week from now, maybe even not a year from now, but at some point in time, you will do business with somebody that knows you, and maybe they had a run-in with you that they didn't like. They had an experience where they felt like you were unethical, or maybe you were unfair, and you just handled yourself wrong. And I think that the narrative and the image that you control and portray is really something that you need to be aware of, because we're very focused on being business owners. We're focused on building a great brand, in the sense of our business. But you, as the founder, as the CEO, as the executive, you really have to be conscious of the message that you're putting out there. And I think being thoughtful about this and really trying to put down what you're hoping to accomplish as the founder, as the leader, is going to help you become not only better in your business, but better long term as a business person. And I know I've talked a lot about things like ethics and integrity, and I've talked about taking the high road, and I've had a lot of these narratives, but I don't know that there's a lot of time that's spent on controlling your specific narrative. And let's take me as an example. I have been putting this show out here, and I did this because I want to help entrepreneurs, right? I've said it before. I think entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of our world, and the people who are innovating, disrupting, and creating, those are the people who I want to help. And so as part of, my brand, if you will, or my image, is I want to be known as a guy that pays it forward, in the sense that I'm not telling you that I'm an expert in all things business. I'm not. There are a lot of people out there much smarter than me about different things. And there are a lot of people out there that can do things way more, way more impressively than I can. But I have grown several businesses. I have exited several businesses, and grown two of them to over 9 figures in sales, and had some pretty decent sized exits. And I want to be able to share and impart that wisdom to others. And so as I think about, why I do this, it's part of my brand, right? It's part of Ron, paying it forward and projecting grandeur of not only what I've done to help others, but also in my new business, right? I'm in startup mode, right? I've talked about Six Pack, my software company, and I'm very much in startup mode. And so as I get that business off the ground, I'm applying these things I'm talking about to that business. So as you start thinking about your own self, you start thinking about the brand, the identity, the person you want to be, the business, owner, the entrepreneur that you want to tell the world that you are. Like, this is going to have a direct impact into your business, because inevitably you are the front person, the front man or front woman in your business, and people are going to be looking to you as the leader, and they're going to want to do business or not do business with your company based upon who you are as an entrepreneur. And I know people say you don't have to be, the front person, you don't have to be, the guy or gal talking. You can be kind of behind the scenes as the CEO or the entrepreneur. Maybe your product's so innovative and so whimsical that it sells itself, and you don't need to actually be the person behind it, or you hire somebody to do that role. Fine. But if you're a small company and you're scrappy and you want to get out the gate without a ton of borrowed money or venture capital dollars, and you're doing this with your own money, you're probably the person out there that's telling the world how great the business is. And that is all going to come down to not just the business, but to you as an entrepreneur, you as the leader. So control that narrative, control that story, control that image and that brand of you and what you are as a person, and be mindful of what you put out there. If you are a big partier, you probably don't want to be posting, big photos of you getting hammered at the bar and doing stupid things. That will come back to bite you. Just like I tell my kids, or told them when they were applying to colleges, what you put out on social media will have an impact into the schools that will hire you. And just as I tell them today, what you put on social media will have an impact to the jobs that, the companies that you apply for. They will go in and look at your social media and see who you are as a person. So today, I just want to remind everyone, be thoughtful in your messaging, be thoughtful in the crafting of the story of who you are as the person, be true to yourself, have integrity, have morals, have ethics, and make sure that the world knows who you are and why they should do business with not just your company, but you as the entrepreneur. This is Projecting Grandeur. Please don't forget to like and comment. Most importantly, share this with other entrepreneurs so we can help make the world a better place by helping entrepreneurs who innovate, disrupt, and create all the amazing companies that change this world. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.